What if I told you that one of the most explosive wide receivers in the entire NFL is playing for just one more year, and nobody knows what happens after that? No long-term deal. No security. Just a ticking clock, $27 million on the table, and a franchise that's playing the most dangerous game in football. Stay with me, because this situation is about to get very interesting. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Zone Reloaded, the channel where we don't just follow the headlines, we break down what's really happening behind closed doors. And today, we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating storylines in the entire NFL right now. George Pickens, the Dallas Cowboys, a franchise tag, and a long-term deal that, for now, is completely off the table. If you think this story is simple, you haven't been paying attention. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you're going to see this situation in a completely different light. Let's go back to where this all started. Last year, the Dallas Cowboys made a move that raised a lot of eyebrows. They sent a third-round pick to the Pittsburgh Steelers to bring George Pickens to Big D. A lot of people questioned it. Was Pickens worth giving up draft capital? Was he too raw? Too unpredictable? Well, here's your answer. In his very first season wearing that star, Pickens posted 93 receptions for 1,429 yards and 9 touchdowns, the best numbers of his entire career. Pro Bowl. Second team All-Pro. Third leading receiver in the whole NFL. The man didn't just prove the doubters wrong, he absolutely torched them. CBS News. So naturally, you'd think Dallas would run to lock him up long-term, right? Think again. Here's where this story takes a turn that nobody saw coming. The Cowboys revealed they will not work on a multi-year extension with Pickens ahead of the July 15th deadline, and are content with having him play on the one-year franchise tag. 1 year.
No negotiations.
No future guaranteed. Just play, get paid, and we'll figure the rest out later. And the number they're paying him? A $27.3 million fully guaranteed one-year tender for 2026. That's real money, but it is not the long-term security that a player coming off a career year deserves to be asking for. NFL. Now let's talk about why Dallas made this call, because this is where it gets really layered. Stephen Jones said it plainly. It's not easy having two receivers being paid top of the market. That's obviously a stretch, especially when you have a quarterback that's been the highest paid player in this league for many years. Translation. CeeDee Lamb is already eating at the top of the wide receiver market. Dak Prescott is still on a massive deal. The Cowboys simply don't want to stack another massive long-term contract on top of all of that. At least not yet. And when you look at it from a pure business standpoint, you can almost understand the logic. Almost. NFL. But here's the thing nobody is asking. What does George Pickens think about all of this? According to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, Pickens at least looked around, gauged his market, and explored what a potential trade could look like. He wants a long-term contract, so this is not an ideal situation for him. But he signed the tag because it locked him into $27 million guaranteed. And sources say he genuinely likes Dallas. He's been working with Dak Prescott this offseason. He loves the system. He loves the weapons around him. But love doesn't pay the bills after 2026, and Pickens knows that better than anyone. Bleacher Report. Here's the psychological chess match that's happening right now. Pickens has every incentive in the world to go absolutely nuclear this season. The 25-year-old has a clear incentive to deliver when he's only under contract for one season. Another monster year and he walks into 2027 as arguably the hottest free agent on the market. Teams will be lining up. The Cowboys will either pay him or lose him. That leverage is real. And frankly, that pressure cooker environment might just be the fuel that turns a great player into an all-time great performer. Bleacher Report. And let's not forget, this is not some unproven kid. Pickens notched a career-high 1,429 yards and 9 touchdowns last season, making him a very in-demand talent. The Cowboys know what they have. The league knows what he's capable of. The only question is whether Dallas is willing to pay that price before somebody else does. Yard Barker. Now here's the part of this story that should make every Cowboys fan a little nervous. Dallas's decision to tag Pickens rather than extend him now opens the door for teams to explore trade scenarios ahead of the 2026 season. That's not nothing. Other teams can call. Other teams can make offers. And while the Cowboys have publicly said they have no intention of trading him, we've heard that song before in the NFL, and sometimes the music stops very suddenly. CBS News. The Cowboys still have until July 15th to work out an extension if they choose to pivot. That deadline is hanging over this entire situation like a storm cloud. Will Dallas blink? Will they decide that losing Pickens to a division rival next year, or even via trade this year, is worse than signing him now? Or will they let the clock run out and just ride the one-year wave and hope for the best? NFL. Here's my take. And this is where Red Zone Reloaded gives you what the mainstream won't. The Cowboys are gambling. They're betting that Pickens values his situation in Dallas enough to come back to the negotiating table next spring on their terms. But players with that kind of talent and that kind of production don't stay in limbo forever. At some point, the market speaks, and the market for a 25-year-old Pro Bowl receiver who just dropped 1,400 yards is going to be loud. This season is now George Pickens' audition for the biggest contract of his life. And every single catch, every single touchdown, every single game is going to make that number go up. Watch this space, because by week 10, this story is going to be dominating every NFL conversation. That's it for today's breakdown here on Red Zone Reloaded. If you learned something new, if this hit different than what you've been reading out there, smash that like button. It genuinely helps this channel grow. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the Cowboys eventually get the long-term deal done, or does Pickens walk in 2027? I want to hear from you. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a breakdown. We'll see you in the next one.